been a pretty up and down season for me this year, especially with this putting green. We started off really on a high. We had Ben come over from Lawn Tips and we did a joint renovation video. It all played out really well. And then obviously, as some of you will remember, I got a bit of rain, which washed a fair bit of my top dressing away down the side there. So recovered from that, did some dusting, did that sort of thing, and then obviously they had the mower issue. So this is where we start to slide down a little bit. Putting green was coming on really well, mower goes away, was meant to be for a week due to blades and belts being unavailable. That blew out to quite a few weeks, and obviously needed to take over the mowing with the Scott Bonner 45, which in turn doesn't cut so low. So if you remember back come Christmas time, green wasn't looking really good, so I cracked it after that and I took it down to 2.5 mil. So basically did another renovation on it straight after Christmas. And obviously you remember you came back after I had my 4 weeks off and it was looking pretty ordinary when it came back on camera. Forward tracking now, so that was about 4 weeks ago, a little bit more. And you'll see now already it's really starting to improve beautifully. Yesterday afternoon, because I knew we had some rain coming in, and last night we got about 25 mil. Actually, we will check that in a moment. I needed to get some Roundup sprayed because we have got some new turf coming. Just little samples, so there'll be 1 square metre, so 1 roll of Tif Eagle, which is an ultra dwarf couch. So it's a improved variety of the original Tif Dwarf. So I've never seen it in real life before, so I'll be interested to see that. And the other one that's coming, I'm just waiting on confirmation before I let you know what it is, but that's also a pretty exciting variety of grass that I'm also going to chuck in over the back there, and I'll show you in a moment what that's going to look like or how that's going to play out. But anyway, as promised, here we are on the green. Big improvements. So far there's just basically been mowing, and we are sitting at the 3mm mark, so things are looking pretty good. It's due for a cut this morning, and it's also due for a feed, so that'll be incorporated into today's episode. I thought I'd also take you around and show you the little patches we spoke about last time with the black algae. Now we've had this rain overnight, it's probably spurred some of it back up to life a little bit, and I'll show you some of the thinner areas and some of the more advanced sections as we go along. Righto, you can probably see on camera there is a nice line here, and this section here looks like it's well, it just looks a different colour. It looks like there's no dew or anything on the lawn. So basically that Roundup that I use, Roundup Max, is a stronger Roundup. It's 540 grams per litre, but it also contains a leaf wetter, or a surfactant, I guess, that when you spray this on, it helps it adhere to the leaf blade. So that's what you're seeing there now. You're seeing a result of that surfactant working, and hopefully pretty shortly this will all start to die. Initially, it's going to still need 2 applications of Roundup at least. So I'm going to do it again on the weekend, and I'm going to use half of this to start our new Tif Eagle, and the far end will be potentially our new mystery grass, and I will let you know what that is as soon as I get confirmation of it. It may even be on the bottom of the screen there now if I have confirmation before this video gets edited and gets uploaded to YouTube. So that's what's happening here. So pretty soon we'll start doing the scalp, we'll do all that sort of stuff to get this looking a little bit like what's happening here, and we'll crack on. So in case you're wondering what I actually plan to do here with our, well, I'm not going to call it a failed attempt, because it hasn't really failed. Everything has grown properly. What has failed, unfortunately, is the fact that the grass has reverted to some other form of couch. Now, as I said before, there is some evidence out there that suggests this can happen with the Tif Dwarf. Unfortunately, I'm just seeing it on all of the bits I thought I had. So we're just going to leave it for now and just see how it performs. And I've got, as I said, I've only got potentially 2 square meters of new turf coming, so we'll use that down there, and we'll leave this and just see how it goes. But I would imagine going forward, this will also be sprayed out and replaced with one of the other varieties that I've got coming. Righto, so these thinner areas here now, a lot of this has been hindered by the fact that I did have that earlier section of the algae pop up, and it is due to things like poor drainage and things like that. And I know that this area is prone to that because it is a little depression that going forward I do need to sort out. But basically, with the hotter, dry weather that we've had, it does dry this stuff out. What you can actually do though, you can use things such as a rake. So if it's really dry, you could actually get in there with a rake and rake that stuff up. Obviously in a shortcut environment, that can do a little bit of damage to the turf surface because it's so fine and so short. Other options you can use, obviously, your mancozeb. So your fungicide mancozeb is a registered chemical to control black algae, or it also doesn't actually like liquid iron, it doesn't like iron, so ferrous sulfate, etc. It's not a fan of that. It does have a negative effect on this stuff, which is positive to me. So it will, when it forms its little dark mat, does make turf, it's nearly impossible, I guess you could say, for turf to actually actively get through that. So that's why through this area here, it is still a little bit thin. We're going to feed this today and we're going to add a bit of iron to the mix. But I think in the long run, I might actually give it a hit of mancozeb just to speed things up a little bit. Although, look, it's not too bad. I'd just like to ideally clear it up. But it's not all bad, and you've got most of the area quite well covered over. It's looking pretty good. As I said, it is getting a little bit hairy right now, so we'll be ready for a bit of a trim, and we'll do that, and we'll also chuck that fertilizer out. But yeah, so no, good recovery considering we're 4 weeks ago. We're looking pretty poor, but that's just the way it goes. Just before we do grab that mower out, I thought I'd just touch on a topic that does come up every now and then, and that is mowing when it's wet. Do you, don't you, should you not, etc. It depends really. Ideally, if you can avoid mowing when it's wet, I would hold out. But if you can't, if you have to do it, and providing it's not literally swimming in water, feel free to go ahead and do it. Because let me tell you, when it rains on a golf course, they're still out there mowing stuff, they're still they're still out there mowing, they're still getting things done. So unless it's a flood, unless things are really underwater, it's certainly not a no-go. It's not going to destroy your lawn, it's not going to give it the best cut, it's not going to give it the best performance. But as I said, I'm going to cut now, and I'm not expecting there to be any real dramas associated with that. So yeah, if you feel that you need to cut, if you've got to cut because you won't be able to for another week or so, hook in, get it done, it's not going to matter. But if you can hold out tomorrow, for example, then that's ideal, but it's not essential to cut when it's fully dry. We'll see what's in that rain gauge, see how much rain we had overnight. I did check the official airport, it was about an inch, so let's just see what we got here at home. Righto, so 26 mil in there, and not really anything in there worth measuring, so we'll call that 26 mils overnight. That's a pretty good effort considering things are really starting to dry out here. We'll take what we can get. So it came up pretty well, about half a catcher or so of grass. The one thing that sticks out to me now is when you're cutting at these really short heights, now 3 mil is pretty short, you've really got to have a really nice flat surface, and up the back there you've got a couple of lines there, and that's not so much the mower cutting uneven, that's the fact that my ground contours, and 3 millimeters doesn't leave much room for error. So a little bit over here as well. That's just how it's going to go. Probably could alleviate that by lifting the height up a little bit, just giving that grass a little bit more area to play with, a little bit more height to play with. But I would like to get this all down the track re-leveled, probably laser leveled down, but we'll just sort of see how that plays out. Let's just have a little look now. Not half sure, we're going to get a little bit of a shower come through. Just going to check that, and we might come back and chuck a bit of fertilizer out after I've worked out what's happening with the weather. Right, so I had a quick look at the weather map, and we're right, there's nothing too heavy coming. In fact, there's nothing heavy at all. There might be a bit of mist, but that's about it. Now, in the last few episodes, I've been making a bit of mention about this NutriFeed 23, and it dawned on me that up until now I haven't actually shown you guys up close what it actually looks like. So basically what we've got here, it's like a crystalline product. It's very it's like it's damp. It's not a dry product, and it's highly soluble. So basically you only apply this as a liquid fertilizer, sorry. You don't put this stuff on dry at all. So going to make up a little bit of a brew today. So I'll give you a look here now. So that's what we've got there. That's the product, and it dissolves really easily. So today what we're going to do, going to use some Seaweed Secrets in the mix as well. We're still once again going to apply it in our sea salt bottle. Now a few people ask me about what sort of a bottle it is that I use. It is just an old sea salt, so a liquid seaweed bottle that you'd buy off the shelf at the hardware store, and I just kept it because I thought it would be handy for this sort of thing. Now obviously there's Hortex sprayers and things like that. I find this just easy because it's a large bottle. The Hortex is limited by a smaller bottle, and some people say, well, you can just buy a bigger bottle, but hey, you can just buy this and the job's done for this sort of stuff. It's not good for everything, but for this it's fine. And then finally we'll give it a kick along with a bit of super iron, so that should help keep a bit of that black algae at bay and give us a nice deep colour as well. So let's mix this all up, we'll get it on this, and we'll spray him out. Righto guys, well I hope you've enjoyed a little update on the little putting green here today. It has come a long way in the 4-week period, and it'll just continue now to slowly improve. Once again, as per usual, applying that product, that NutriFeed, in that fashion. There's no need to irrigate it in afterwards. There's sufficient water to wash it in as it feeds, so that's always handy. And obviously we had a heavy rain last night, so this feeds via the leaf blade. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to subscribe and like this episode if you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't dislike it, just like it anyway. I'll leave you now with some footage of the front yard, and we'll see you next week here on the Aussie Lawn.